So welcome, Vicky.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And I'm just going to do a brief run through of your bio so that everyone listening can hear. So Vicky has been an educator in the Dufferin Peel Catholic School Board for 29 years. And as I mentioned, she's just retired. She's dedicated most of her career to delivering experiential learning opportunities whereby her students are genuinely engaged in their learning. She's keenly interested in making a social justice connection with the aim of helping to build a world where equality is the norm, not the goal. Her work in Haiti took life from such experiential ventures when she was involved students in several social justice trips to Jacmel, Haiti, with the hope of the students from Canada and Haiti would interact to share the shared experience, and in doing so, plant the seeds of a better tomorrow. So thank you, Vicky, for doing that. And tell me about yourself and how you got into, how did you think of going to Haiti?
Thanks. So a little bit about myself. I have been married for over 30 years to my high school sweetheart, Gino. And Gino and I together started the Haiti Forward Foundation. We have two daughters together, biological daughters, Ariana and Michaela, and we have an adopted daughter, unofficially, not legally adopted, but Stephanie has been part of our family for many years. And all three are adults now, as they like to remind me, and all doing very well, and we're very proud of all three of them. So we started our foundation, which was established just in 2020, but we've been working in Haiti since 2010, when the tragic earthquake took so many lives. At the time I was on a deferred leave, sort of a sabbatical that high school teachers can take. And I felt compelled to go to Haiti with other high school teachers and elementary teachers in our board who were going to normally do work with the Sisters of Charity in the Dominican Republic. And at the time of the earthquake, there was so much devastation in Haiti that the Sisters of Charity, who had also a convent in Haiti, in Jacmel, Haiti, had asked us, rather than going to Dominican to help them, to go to help their sisters in Jacmel, Haiti. So we traveled across land via the Dominican Republic to work in Jacmel. And I cannot describe the devastation, because it was truly something to be seen. Heartbreak was obviously something that has had an impact on our lives. So the following year, when I returned, because I was so compelled, my husband wanted to join us, because there were more teachers that were also going the following year, because the work that needed to be done was obviously ongoing for many years. And one of my daughters made sort of a kind of a princess kind of comment, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm raising children that are not aware of how privileged they are. And that was something that Gino and I had really wanted to instill in our children. And that's when we decided, that's it, they're going to Haiti with us, even though they were still young side. They were 14 and 12, 15 and 13. Anyhow, they came, and we really got to see through their eyes what the effect it was having on them, and the effect. I'd been taking students prior to that, and when you see it through the manifestation through your own children, and you come home and you see them no longer pushing their food away or not finishing what was on their plate, And then hearing them actually do presentations to other students, it rang true to me that this was something we needed to continue doing. Our Michaela, our youngest, was asked by a student, how do you think you've changed since you've been going to help in Haiti? And her answer was, well, for one thing, I'll never leave food on my plate again. And that was a really big impact because, I think all parents say this, at some point that, there are people who have so little and you need to appreciate. And you can say those words, but hearing your child say that and really understanding what that means, like I'm never going to leave food on my plate again, left me feeling like I did the right thing. Some people were not, I was criticized for taking my children into Haiti at that young age. It was, there were a lot of dangers at the time. And we did get criticized for taking those risks with our children, but it was definitely a well worth endeavor. And I think they still to this day cherish those days, helping our fellow brothers and sisters and making their lives better. So it was a good thing. And so we continue that because every year we have many friends, as you know, Kemba, we have a large family and we're all very close. And as we kept going back, people, friends and family kept saying, how can we help you? What do you want us to do? Can we give you things to take? And, that's sort of how it just sort of rolled from there. And over the last 10 years that we've been doing this work, without the foundation, like the backing of the foundation that we established in 2020, we raised over $120,000. And that's just through the generosity of our friends and our family. And, as it got bigger, we realized we needed to establish a foundation so that we can start issuing things like tax receipts, and it gives validity to the work we're doing as we start to cast a larger net, and which has become a necessity. Just based on the projects that we've been asked to do now.
Well, and that leads to my next question, Vicky. What is the foundation about? Like, what's its mandate, and what are you doing in Haiti? Like, it sounds like it's evolved a lot since you started.
Yes, well, and our mandate is mostly about helping education, community sustainability, and water filtration, because those are the basic needs. When we talk about what people need to have a happy and healthy life in Haiti, we have people who are missing some of those like very basic needs, like clean water, something in Canada especially we take for granted, when we run our water forever when we're brushing our teeth, sort of things. So water is a big piece, and a lot of communities do not have clean water. And we've worked very closely with the priests that we work with, the Christian communities that we work with. Specifically right now, we're working in Unsafe Pete. And Unsafe Pete is a small community that is just bordering with the Dominican Republic. And water is an issue. And the priest that we work with, he has a water filtration system that was built 15 years ago by the priest that preceded him. And we've helped him to maintain that water filtration system. It's massive. It's got 3 huge cylinders that filtrate water, and he sells the water to the community at a very nominal fee, but he sells it just enough so that he can continue to repair and take care of the filtration system. It's never been enough. So we've raised money to be able to repair the filtration system already twice. The first time we did that, it cost us $3,500 to bring engineers from the Dominican to put in a new engine in one of the filtration tanks, and that That was through a private donor who wanted to remain anonymous. So we were able to do that. And then we had to raise more funds because another one of the tanks broke down. So it's an ongoing situation. We're also working with another community, Tetelo. Tetelo is a very small community set in the forest. It's about an hour away from Anse Pete, which is a small, as I mentioned, a small town. It's Anse Pete is a refugee town. There are two massive refugee camps there that I can talk to you a little bit about afterwards. But Tetelo is just, they're in the forest. They are basically, they're just 21 families that are living in, they're not houses. They have blankets for walls for the most part. They have managed to build, using cinder block, build a church/school and a small rectory for the priest when he comes to visit and stay. But the water they use is from the river. And as you've seen in, you see that in many images in third world countries where that's where they do their laundry, that's where they get their draw their water for cooking and for drinking, that's where they water their animals. So there is a concern for the purity of the water. So we are hoping to install a water filtration system there as well. And we've done some research. There are multiple companies who have some great engineering for filtering water that is not that costly. So that's something with them.
Vicky, like, I mean, you and I have chatted about it, but just what's the reason for these refugee families? Like, where are they refugees from, and why are they there?
So back in the 70s, the notorious baby Doc Duvalier, he was the president at the time, and he drove people out. They left Haiti because he was so notorious, and they crossed into the Dominican to make a living and a life there. And unfortunately, the Dominican has now been sending those, they're Haitian, but the generation now, it's the first generation of Dominican born Haitians. So they speak Spanish. They don't speak French because, as you know, in Haiti, they speak French, and in the Dominican, they speak Spanish. So we have this first generation of adults who have lived in the Dominican their entire lives and only speak Spanish. And they are being forced to leave because they don't have legal status in the Dominican, and they're forced out of their homes. Oftentimes, they're running out of their homes with nothing on their backs and crossing back into Haiti. So they're living in these camps, and they don't speak French. And they don't speak Creole, and they're lost. They don't know how or what to do. So Tetelo is one of those communities, and it's made up of these Spanish-speaking Haitians. And through the generations, all they know what to do is make charcoal. Their great-grandfathers and their grandfathers and their fathers have always made charcoal for a living. And so that's all they know. But unfortunately, as many people know, that the forests are depleting in Haiti. So they're having to cross over, because they literally, where Tetelo is, it's literally, and we've been there, Gino and I have been there to visit. You can walk 10 feet and you are in the Dominican, and because it's literally across the river. And
yeah,
so
I've had the benefit of meeting Haitians on the beaches and shores of the Dominican, and they tend to set up a lot of their sales of the items to tourists to generate funds. So I've seen that in visits to the Dominican. And I've never been to Haiti.
Yeah, and they were Haitian, Andrea, or they were Haitian, Spanish-speaking Haitians. Yeah. So
on the beaches, the Dominican, and just trying to create a livelihood for themselves.
Yeah.
And I
But now they're
did
being
see
forced
how
out.
close the two places are, that they could
Mhm.
easily just like,
Yes,
cross the
they
waters.
can. But if they're found without papers, they are forced out. And in many instances, especially in the forest where there's no one watching, they're shot on sight. And so this community in Tetelo is having to deal with that. They don't have a means of feeding their family other than making charcoal. So they do risk their lives. They cross over into the Dominican to harvest wood. And then they bring it back over and they make the charcoal. And I'm not going to get into the process of making the charcoal, but they need wood to do that. So they're risking their lives every day. So we went to visit at the behest of the priest that we work with. And in conversation with, I guess he was self-appointed leader because he spoke a little bit of English, because we speak to them through a translator. Neither Gino or I are fluent in Creole, Spanish, or French. We do, mishmash but we do through translators. And so we problem solve. Well, what can we, like, how are you feeding your children? What are you feeding your children? And it's, the answer was hesitant to come, but it was, well, sometimes we don't feed them. We don't have a means for feeding our children, which it's, when you hear that, it breaks your heart.
It's painful. It hurts.
It's so from that conversation, we talked about, well, what if you had some goats? You could milk the goats and you could give your children milk. And so they're like, well, yeah, we could do that. The priest then divulged that he had bought chickens for this community in the hopes that they could raise chickens and, harvest the eggs and so sell some of the eggs and keep some of the eggs. But unfortunately, they're charcoal makers. So they don't understand the husbandry of chickens. So when they got the chickens, much to the priest's disappointment, when he went to visit several months later, all the chickens were gone. Yeah. They'd been slaughtered and eaten because that's all they knew to do with those chickens. That no one had, really taught them that of maintaining that, the sustainability of it. So in conversation, we talked about getting goats, and because my background is Maltese, and in Malta, there's a famous cheese that we make. Everybody makes it. We use sheep's milk, and everyone makes it. You just use lye and not lye. Sorry, there's a particular chemical that you use, and you just there's these little plastic mesh things that you put the milk into, and you let it settle, and within a day you have cheese. So I'm thinking, well, we can do that. Why can't they do it with goat cheese? So, quick phone call to my mom, and yes, you can do it with goat cheese or milk or sheep's milk. And so we started to have the conversation about starting teaching them how to keep goats. You can slaughter some, because if you're breeding them, you can have some to feed your family and your community. It's a community of 21 families. You can milk the goats for milk for your family. You can use some of the milk for cheese that you can sell at market. You can also, some of the goat meat can be slaughtered and sold at market. So we discussed the possibility of starting a new cottage industry for this. Yes. So that's how Gotta Get a Goat started. We have a fundraiser called Gotta Get a Goat. Everybody loves the name, and we in no time were able to raise enough money to buy 80 goats to provide this community. We're working with a local veterinarian from Jacmel, actually, who's willing to go to Tetelo to teach them the husbandry of goating. So we have not, unfortunately, been able to, because of COVID, we haven't been able to go and meet with the veterinarian and teach the community. So we're still waiting for that project to be launched. It's completed. The fundraising has been completed. The money is there. And hopefully soon we'll be able to travel to Haiti and launch Gotta Get a Goat.
And I mean, talk about disaster after disaster, right? I mean, this community has already suffered, political, displacement, and then they have the earthquake in 2010. There was a recent earthquake in 2020, or is it 2021? What was the
It was
date?
just recently. It was only a month ago that they experienced that.
So, that was pretty devastating as well. It's just, and then compounded that if we felt, disadvantaged or suffering from COVID, imagine a community that just has no resources, and they're relying on the charity of other groups and other people. So have you heard about how they're doing and how they're, how they're managing now through all these multiple
Yes. So luckily, COVID is not taking as strong a grip because it is such a warm country. There obviously COVID still exists there, but they don't have the losses through COVID that we have experienced in colder climates. Because as you notice, in the summertime our numbers go down, and in the wintertime they go up because of the cold temperatures. So Haiti has not had that experience. And my conversations with Père Gaston, he has said that his community is not suffering from COVID as we would think they are because of the warmth. But of course, they're hungry. They're struggling to keep the water pumps going, and they're struggling to continue with the school construction. So one of the things that is happening in Ansepit, because there are two large refugee camps, the school that he has, which is not fenced in, is continuously pilfered for the metal roofing and the glass and the windows and furniture. Every night someone comes in and steals some things because they're trying to make their camp better. So he had asked us in our foundation to help him build a school within the encampment of the church. So where the church is located in Ansepit, it has a fenced in, it's got a big wall. So, and he has lots of land within there. So he's building a school within the walls so that his school is not pilfered every night and the children are safe. Because that's the other issue. People were worried to send their children there because they were worried about safety. And so now knowing that their children will enter the gate and be inside and can play at recess time without getting hurt or are safe, the school is flourishing. So
nice. And so you've already constructed a part of that school.
Yes. Well, when we were introduced to Père Gaston, he was very shy about his request, but he was adamant about building a school. And because he'd heard of the work we had done in Jacmel, he'd said, I need 163,000 American dollars to build a six-room school, and I know you can help me. And so you can't say no. And, I leaned over to my husband because we were at it was a celebration of a completed project. And I leaned over to my husband and said, I know what our next project's going to be, and it's building this school. So that's 2 years already that we've been raising funds. We've raised over $80,000, sorry, $60,000 US dollars, which, and it's been done through friends and family. And we have different events that we've run. We've had an art sale, an art auction, a silent art auction online. We run an annual spin-a-thon. We have done some other smaller projects to raise funds.
I attended a it was a music festival, or you did a concert. It was a concert.
Mm-hmm. Well, Gino, my husband, is a closeted musician. It's always been his dream. I've known him since we were, younger kids, teenagers, and he's always played the air guitar. So over the years, he's taught himself to actually play a guitar, and he's actually quite a good singer. So he's put together a band, and they play for no money, but they're pretty good. And people come, and we do fundraisers, and the band is always the draw. So we've had them doing little gigs here and there, and people donate to come and listen to the band. So
yeah.
So a lot of
That-
your fundraising efforts are done here in Canada, right?
Yes,
build
they're all done here locally based in Toronto. I'm shameless. My birthday is a collection for Haiti. So again, my family and my friends are very generous. My sister-in-law, who's only 2 days apart, our birthdays are 2 days apart, she asks the same. So between us, for the last 8 years, we've been raising anywhere from $1,500 to $2,400, and that money is sent, because our birthdays are in October. We put on a huge Christmas feast for the poorest of the poor in the parish of St. Michael's Catholic Church, and they invite all the poorest of the poor, and they put on a huge feast. We usually feed with that money usually feeds, and I mean a big feast, about 300 people every year. And so that's something that, we do. That's not through the foundation. It's a personal thing that we've been doing for years. So we send money every year for a Christmas donation, or sorry, Christmas feast. So,
Wow.
So
Well,
to
I
celebrate
mean-
Christmas for them to celebrate Christmas in Haiti, you mean? Is that-
yes. It's so they'll get fried chicken and rice and fried plantain and lots of fruit. One year we raised so much, they actually were able to give them a little bit of glass of wine. And so it was a nice, and then every year in tradition, they take lots of pictures, and our birthday gift from the Jacmel community to us is an album of the feast, of the people that participated in the feast. So it's quite beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I mean, Vicky, I when I heard about what you guys were doing, I think the most impressive part, because a lot of it is very impressive and it's amazing what you're doing, but the fact that you're focused on sustainability of the projects, it's not just, you raise funds and then it gets delivered down there, and then whatever happens with it, which can also be helpful, but you're focused on things that are, life-giving and sustainable, like the goats. Gotta get a goat. I mean, Andrea, now we gotta get a goat. I think we should see how we can get a goat to help out too. And but
It's $80 for a goat, so it's not a lot.
is it, pardon?
It's only $80 to buy a goat, so it's not a lot.
To buy a goat, so that's not a lot. And I mean, the fact that the families can have industry, and part of the project is to actually teach them how to sustain it, because now there's the learning of the chickens didn't work out, they need to know how to sustain it. And so I think, if nothing else, what is that saying? Don't fish for a man, but teach him to fish. And so I think if they can, reduce their reliance on even charcoal, because you take away the idea of charcoal, what other, I mean, Haiti is in a warm place. Maybe one of your next projects could be some solar panels.
Well, we did actually do a project. We raised funds so the University of Notre Dame in Jacmel is now fully sustained by solar panels. So we were able to raise help. We didn't complete that project wasn't only solely ours. We contributed to purchasing solar panels. So the university now is off the grid. They use solar panels to light and generate their computers in the university. So it's little projects like that. And Tete Lo is not in a situation, they are in the forest. They don't have a lot of sunlight to draw from. And they're really not a sophisticated, they are just people camping in the forest at this point. We're getting there. Like, we hope to be able to build houses for each of the families, or provide, the goal is that this little community, which has been so hard done by from the 70s on, we want to provide for them, to provide for themselves. I'm just one woman, and we're just one woman and one man. We can't go, and yes, we could give some money, but it's going to last a week and that's it. And then what? So as an educator, that's always been I'm an experiential teacher. I like people. My students have always, it's very rare for my students to sit at a desk and just learn. That's not how I like to learn. So I was hoping that I could instill that in my students. So that's why I planned trips like this. I took, multiple students from multiple schools in our board. I was given permission to draw from all our high schools, all 26 of our high schools, and take students to Haiti. And they were able to get a high school credit out of that, as well as connected to experiential learning. And you plant those seeds for those students so that they can then help others as well. So we want that I wanted that for my students, but I also want that for the people that we're helping. We should not be I don't want to be the savior. I don't want to be the hero. I am a person who recognizes that my fellow human being is suffering, and equality is important to me. And I'm still very, and many people are dumbfounded that there is such an inequality in this world. It's just not, it should not happen. It should not be happening. And I always think of Mother Teresa and the work that she did. And I've been to India and I've seen people dying in the streets, and it's overwhelming. And it can be a daunting task, but Mother Teresa would take one person at a time and give them dignity in death. And that resonates for me. Her message always resonates for me. It's one person at a time. It's one human person at a time. And that you can't, I'm a big picture person, but if I stop and only focus on the big picture with this, it's very overwhelming and very daunting. So it's taught me to look at the details and look one person at a time and help and knowing that someone breathes a little bit easier because of something that I may have enabled is a job well done. So that's sort of what keeps me going and keeps us going. And I hope that those are the seeds that we're planting. Sure. And the school building is a daunting, like if I stop and think about it, like, oh my God, how are we going to raise that money? But slowly we're doing it. And I have to update our website, but I want to put up the latest pictures that we've received from the school, from Père Gaston. We have 3 classrooms that have been built. We are now, we have just dug the foundation for the cafeteria and the kitchen that will be built. And we have already built the staff room for the teachers. We've also put on a solid roof so that we can now build the second story, which will have the 3 other classrooms. And I should mention that the work that we are doing and all the work that's being undertaken by the church, they have engaged with a Japanese architect because they are seismic experts, so that any of the buildings that they construct will withstand devastating earthquakes, which will happen again. As we know, it just happened a month ago. So that makes me feel better as well, because what we're building and what we're working on will withstand. And their goal as well is, anything that they're building will also suffice or serve to be a community center, so that if and when people's houses do fall due to earthquakes, they will be able to provide for them so that there won't be these massive tent cities again in these communities.
So, I mean, Vicky, what you're doing, I mean, I applaud you, and I know that's not why you're doing it, because I can just hear the passion and the want to make a difference, and it's inspiring to me. I think, Andrea, I would say it's inspiring to, you know, you too, to say, what can we do? And I'm sure people listening might be thinking, what can they do to say, how do we help? I mean, a lot of the time when we give to charity, we know and we trust that it's going to a good place. And you know, I think that it's amazing to meet somebody who's doing some of that work to make a difference. So I appreciate that. So why don't you tell us, like, how do we reach you, or how does anyone listening say donate, or you know, get a goat, or you know,
How can we
build a
support
classroom?
that?
Yeah, well, so our foundation can be found under HaitiForward.ca. That's the website. And there you can donate. You can purchase a goat if you like, or you can donate towards our bigger project right now, which is the growing concern of our school and building that school. You can, any donation will receive a tax receipt. Because it is a registered foundation, we can issue tax receipts for people. We're also hoping that we can get some angel donors. So for example, you know, if we were able to raise through one of our initiatives, you know, $1,000, that there might be some organizations or companies who, many of our companies in Canada have a social justice outreach mandate where they should be contributing to somewhere, or sometimes organizations in Canada, but oftentimes there are other places. It has to have a social justice piece to it. So they'll, as a team, do a fundraiser and it'll go to Haiti Forward. That would be great. So we're looking to get companies on board to be a part of this, and maybe inspire their staff to do a fundraiser and contribute to the Haiti Forward school construction that we have going right now. You can donate as a private citizen on the website as well. There is a donate button. It's very simple. You put your name in, your address, and your contact information. A tax receipt is issued for you. The money is deposited into our Haiti Forward bank account. And what we pride ourselves in right now, any of the money that we have raised over the last 10 years, whether it was under the name of the foundation or our, you know, just us fundraising, 100% of the money we've raised has always gone to exactly what we say it's going to. We have always used our own funds to travel to Haiti. We have used our own funds for our accommodations while in Haiti. Any money that's raised through the foundation, at this point in time, 100% of it goes there. We don't have administrative fees. Any administrative fees that are incurred by Gino and I. We pay for that from our personal funds. So that is our hope to continue doing. You know, we recognize we've been blessed to have great careers that have funded our blessed life. And so we need to also contribute from our own pockets on the regular. So that's how we hope to continue doing that. Well, any administrative fees are coming straight out of our funds. We have a board of directors, but they're all volunteers. Nobody gets paid. It's a thankless job, but everybody loves the job. So, and you know, the other thing I would love, just to reach out to your listeners, if there are people out there who have some expertise in fundraising or how to make it better, I would love to hear from them, because I am not a trained or educated fundraiser. I'm very good at fundraising, but that's because we have some very supportive family and friends who also spread the word for us. So, and as you said, like, this is a passion for me. I can talk ad nauseum about the work that we do there. And I would love to take everybody with me. And I have had people say, I want to come.
I'm coming.
Yeah, and you know what? When COVID clears, I'm happy to organize. I'm very good at organizing trips. That's been my life. My job has led me to do that multiple times. But even my family, like we've organized trips to New York. You know, I organize them. You know, down to the minute of what we're doing, where we're eating, where we're staying. So I'm good at that sort of thing, and I'm happy to organize a Haitian trip for friends and family who really want to come see firsthand what we're actually doing. So
Amazing.
Awesome.
Well, you know, Vicky, I am so thankful that you came on and you shared with us. At Keen, we talk a lot about building a legacy, and you know, our business is about real estate and so on. The legacy that you're building is of a different type, but it is just as or more important when you're helping other people to get out of the, you know, the poverty and the situation they're in, to help them, you know, come up in life, or at least survive in a better way. So thank you so much for what you're doing. Andrea, why don't you share with everyone how they can reach us?
Yeah, so thank you, Vicky, very much for joining us. We really appreciate being able to share, you know, like we're all women here, and we know that as women, we can do great things. And clearly you're using, you know, your ability and your love and passion to do great things in Haiti. And I think that, you know, Kemba and I have that very passion as well, to build a foundation to help change and inspire other people to, you know, have amazing lives. I don't think that our lives have to be amazing just based on money. It could just be learning survival skills, right? And so, you know, ways to improve our communities. And so thank you everyone for listening today. We hope that you've learned something from, you know, Vicky's passion project in Haiti. And we want you to support that. So, you know, take the opportunity to, we'll provide the ways to contact Vicky and the ways to access her website and organization, so that you can help support.
Actually,
Sorry,
not
Kemba?
interrupt you, but Vicky, I don't think you actually said the website. Can you just say what it is?
She did.
it's
Haiti
haitiforward.ca. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And if
so I will absolutely write it in again, but you did say it, so thank you. I know that for our listeners, there are many women and, you know, amazing Canadians here who too want to provide, and especially when we know that it's direct, right, and it's immediate. It's not like we're just donating to a cause here and we don't know if it gets to the people and the cause that we intend it to. And so that's what I love about your project. For us, we can be reached at www.keengroup.ca. We're on Instagram and pretty much every social media platform out there. On Instagram, we're Keen on You. And we absolutely, you know, look forward to having the opportunity to connect with you regarding this project or any other podcast that you listen to, and hear the stories of amazing women like Vicky. Thank you again, Vicky, for joining us, and, you know, good night.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.